That wasn't work. People did good.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was.
I mean, I passed. I feel like the worst thing about it was trying to find the better.
Yeah, well, and well, almost everybody found it. I mean, I think 2 people got a perfect score. And they won't let it go to their heads, right? You know, there's always something. Probably a third of them forgot to bold the text in the text box. A couple of people forgot to align the bevel with the bottom of the sidebar. You know, just little things like that. And basically, if you counted up every single item that was on the test for, say, the poster, divide by 100, you know, each point was worth that many points. So if you turned in a blank page, you got a 0. But if you just did most of it, you did pretty good. So if you missed one thing, you're like 4 points off, I think it was. 2 points, you're 8 points off. 3 points, you're 12 points off, that kind of thing. Most people came awfully close to being, you know, getting all 25 things. So, no big surprises on that. Trying to remember. I think one person was missing the extra element, and I don't know if that was just a mistake or if it's just not showing or what, but they want to see me then go for it. I thought we'd start off today, unless you have questions about the test.
What test?
Well, the one on Thursday.
Oh. What?
No, we don't have a test on Thursday.
I gotta check.
So, I mean, check when you get a chance. If you have questions, you know, you can email me. I'm sorry, since last Thursday, I've been so busy. I leave here and I go do my other work. And then I go do, you know, I'm on like 2 different nonprofit boards, drive me nuts. But I will try to keep up with the emails. I'm just not promising it. Anything new that people have heard of in the IT world of news?
French WhatsApp thing.
Was
Miscalculation. Everybody can join.
which one was that?
Oh, it was something about, I think it was like a government, like WhatsApp thing where they basically misconfigured it, and then like everybody was allowed to join in their conversations.
Oh, so their equivalent of the CIA was holding top level meetings, and everybody popped in there. Hey, Fred, is that you? Yeah, I'm here. But I hadn't heard of that one.
Just reading this morning.
Cool. I mean, if you haven't noticed, the IT world is never quiet. There is always something going on. What else? Anybody hear anything else in the IT news lately? Or do you not pay attention? All right, a couple of things. If you own or work with people at Windows 7, the death notices are starting to pop up. It will be coming officially unsupported completely by Windows in January. So that's only 8 months away. After that, you're on your own. Doesn't mean you have to stop using Windows 7. It's just that they'll no longer provide security updates or things like that. Huh?
Go to Linux.
Time to go to Linux. Obviously a few years ago they did the same thing for XP. Life goes on. I started, the very first time I bought Windows, it was, Windows. There was nothing, beyond the name. Cost me, I think, $89, which was amazing because at the time, if you were to buy an operating system, it would have cost you $600 or $700 minimum. So Windows came out and it's like, whoa, I can afford that. And then they had Windows 3 and Windows 3.1 and Windows 3.1.1 and funny other things, and Windows 95 and Millennial and 2000 and NT, and there's been so many over the years. There will continue to be so many over the years. Right now we're on Windows 10, but how long has Windows 10 been out? Years. Yeah, somebody look up. You've all got computers. So my guess is that probably within about 2 years, we'll start seeing a replacement for Windows 10.
Can't you just build an operating system that you can continuously update?
You have to be able to market it. Microsoft wants you to buy a new product, which is fine because,
When?
you know, if you only bought one, what's the answer?
Go out of business.
Huh?
You go out of business.
No, I meant for when Windows 2010 came out, 2016. So it's already 3 years old. I doubt it will be around. I mean, it'll be around, but it'll be replaced probably within 2 years. Just my guess based on past experience. So if you work with people or if you're in the IT field, this is a big deal because you're going to have computers that need to come out of circulation, updated, do whatever. Again, it's not that you have to stop using Windows 7. It's that there will be no more security patches after that. Windows will say, yeah, we know we found a new bug in Windows 7 that allows you, you know, the hackers to pop in there and take all of your secure stuff. Windows 10, you know, so it's just a matter of dealing with that.
What's the enterprise?
Huh?
Okay, the enterprise support, what the next year.
Well, and there's always also private companies that will provide you support, but that doesn't change the fact. The other thing is that things like printers that were never designed for operating under a Windows 7 system may not have a driver that's supportable in a Windows 7 system, and Microsoft certainly won't be writing any of the driver patches that allow you to use it for the older operating system. Cisco Talos reported this week that the very first successful, and it was from a government level hacking group, I don't know, Russia, China, something like that. And they hacked one of the major DNS organizations, the ones that maintain all of the who goes where, what, and what's your name information was successfully hacked. And they're claiming it, you know, they're putting it in the category as cyber espionage. So, you know, what that does is, gosh, www.org.com. Who knows where it's going, because where that goes is based on the DNS tables. And if those are being manipulated in a nefarious way, then you type in for.com and it's going to show up as something else. Yes?
Isn't that called DNS poisoning?
You know, it might be. I'm not a hacker by nature, so could be. But it's not been, I don't know if that's been,
Let me check here.
yeah, you can check it. It's at least the first time it's been done at one of the major, I mean, don't forget, you have DNS servers here, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the DNS server here that has to go and get that information from one of the major players. And the major players get that information from one of the even bigger major players. And what it really comes down to is there's probably, I don't even know how many it is, but there's a very small number of, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 major top of the tier DNS servers that provide all of the information down. The cool thing with DNS servers is they provide information up and down. So if you log in, you know, and say, you know, Donald here plugs in a machine that is running a Apache web server, and it says, hey, I'm www.donald.com, not to be confused with the orange-haired one, and, you know, please send all your stuff to me. Well, you know, the DNS server here will take that information and pass that information up the line so that the larger DNS servers know where you are, which pass it farther up. I mean, you're also talking about having to register your name with, you know, one of the name servers. The who's it? Who is it? Who's it? Yeah, who's it? Anyway, was that what it's called?
Yeah, DNS.
Right.
Wouldn't that allow for like a man in the middle? So in other words, you think you're going to a place and they actually, before you get to that place, they route you through somewhere else that could be sniffing you. So.
Yes, absolutely. And think about, you know, corporations or governments that send information that they think is going to where you're going. And if you've never done this, when you're in a browser and you go to your bank or you go to your any other site, the first thing you should be looking at is the URL. Does that, am I going to Bangor, Bangor Bank or whatever? I think Bangor Savings Bank is just bangor.org or something. You should always be familiar with the secure
Online banking.
Yeah, right. And you should always be checking it. I mean, if you're just looking at news services online, who cares? You might be getting bad news, but at least you're not giving it your passwords, your account numbers, and everything like that. But whenever you go to something that is critical, you should be looking at the URL to make sure that, because one of the ways they spoof is if there's, Bangor, .org or something. When you spoof it, there's a couple of things you'll see. One is it might change it to .com, but half the times if I was Bangor Savings, I'd make sure all of them were only purchased by me and maintained by me and redirected to the one you want it to be. But what you'll also see is you'll sometimes see things like this show up. They'll pop in a separate complete domain. This looks right, but this is the domain, not this. This is a subdomain of this. And so if you don't look carefully, you've been redirected to somebody's totally different domain, and it looks okay, and all they have to do is they have to go to bangoronline.org and look at what the website looks like, look at what the login looks like, recreate it. Hell, they can steal it right off the website, recreate it, just scavenge all that information, and then install it into another domain, make it look like it's the correct domain, with just that little bit of extra in there. And then if you can now take advantage of, well, two things. One is you can try to do domain, spoofing, but you can also just send somebody an email. This is where you get a lot of hacking. Your Bangor Savings Bank account needs updating. Please, change your password. And they put this link in there. It looks okay. If you don't look closely and you click it in your email and you go to it, which is why if you get emails like that, what should you do?
Double check. Call them.
Well, you can double check it or just ignore it. Oh, well, I'm going to go log in separately. Don't use the link in an email. Just go the way you normally do. And it's like, I don't see any note here. Because chances are, if they really, really, really wanted you to change your password, then what's going to happen when you log in? You're going to get a, I'm sorry, you do need to change your password. It really was us sending you that email. Most of the time, though, you won't. Yes.
Never mind, I can't remember what I want to say.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So anyway, this was the first time that has happened at one of these high-level DNS players. I mean, you obviously think about it, they're wicked concerned with security. And they were breached by, again, what I said, cyber espionage versus a malicious attack that was designed to bring them down. It didn't bring them down, it just let misinformation be, or rerouting or whatever. Anybody familiar with Chromium? Huh?
Chromium's a different browser.
It is a different browser.
This one is that trash black, whichever one it is. It looks like Chrome, but it's different colors.
Right. And did you have, or
The big invention is that Chromium is basically behind the large majority of web browsers nowadays.
yeah. And it's a scaled down version. And if you didn't, well, haven't noticed it, Chrome uses a lot of resources. I run this laptop. My laptop at home's got 16 gigabytes in it because I like to open 20 browser tabs at a time. Because I'm trying to grade papers and I'm looking stuff up and I've got, everything open at the same time. If I had 4 gigabytes, I'd be dead in the water because Chrome just sucks it up really quickly. Chromium came out 10 years ago, 11 now, and I should say first released in 2008, not 28. Sorry about that. It's in version, I think, 71 right now. Again, it's an open source platform. It's a thinner version. It's not Chrome, but it's secure. Good question. But it was in the news because it's starting to make real inroads. And it's probably cleaned itself up a little bit, so it's not all black and white. You know,
It was trash a couple years ago, and I was trying to mess with it,
yeah. So I think those were the three things I just figured I would start with something fun, and always good to keep an eye out on what's going on in the IT world. You could have a 20-slide show slide every week on different topics. You know, what's in security? What's new in databases? What's new in, you know, blockchain, you know, banking systems? What's new in gaming apparatus? Yes.
So if you think about it, Chrome/Chromium, they run on WebKit, right? They're basically the poster child for the WebKit engine. You know what else uses WebKit? The Electron framework, which is behind things like Discord and the Atom code editor.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, WebKit is the biggest thing on the internet.
WebKit. See, now I'll have to look it up. WebKit. Cool. I've been doing this a long time. Doesn't mean I know everything. WebKit. What the hell's that? Okay. So we're done with Excel. Hopefully you've turned in your. Huh?
I don't think so.
Well,
I know it went by like that. We had like 3 classes. The reason why we ended up having the exam when we did was because should have been the week before, but we only meet physically on Tuesdays. So we kind of put the exam off. Technically, we should probably have an Excel exam. How many weeks do we have left? 3? Not even. You know, so raise your hand if you want to just put it all and wait for a final. Or do you want to have an Excel exam? Who wants an Excel exam? So we got 5 of you. Who wants to wait for the final?
Wait. So are you saying
It
you're
would be
gonna
covered either way, but
So you're saying you're gonna either take 2 tests or you're gonna combine it into 1 test? What is it?
something like that.
So I'd rather take 1 single test.
Well, I prefer 2, simply because of the fact that it's kind of the recap.
Well,
of the
it's 2
entire-
separate grades. You're kind of right too.
Tell you what, I will put an online Excel test on there. That way, because this is really hard when you're only sitting here once a week, and we've only got, I think you're only, 2 more classes when you're gonna be sitting here on a Tuesday? I don't wanna use one of those for the exam. So let me put an Excel exam online. You have to promise not to work together on it. Or I'll fail you.
Cooperation, wait a minute.
Huh?
I said, why cooperation, wait.
Yeah, no, this is a dog-eat-dog world here. Can I study with you for the exam? No, it'll kill my curve. So we're gonna start talking about PowerPoint. I get it. Probably half of you are quite familiar with PowerPoint, and half of you probably need a really good refresher course. Not to mention the fact that since you went through middle school, it's changed twice. You know, and it's now up to, well, it's 2016 that we're looking at, but guess what? 2019's out now.
It's right now.
Yeah, it's out now. So you can go by Office 2019. What's the difference? Yes.
I actually was looking up with the IT department here, the 365 that we can download off the internet is actually all 2019.
Yep.
Oh,
Any of the free 365 that you get off your student email is all 2019.
Yep. And if I was here next year, I'd just teach an Office 365 current version.
does it automatically update or do you have to reinstall it?
Automatically.
Now they've cut the position.
I believe you have to manually update it.
So uninstall it.
I
reinstall
cried
it.
already, but
No, you just get the installer.
Right.
You get it installed.
yeah, well, me too. Now they, as with almost every community college across the country, when the job market is good, community college enrollments go down. And so I'm the last one on last year, and I might still be here, but not as a teacher. But I know,
That's not good.
I like it.
You're
You
pretty
people,
cool.
but I like it.
What the heck? I just said you're pretty cool. How come you say that?
Because I grew up in the family that I grew up in.
I take it back.
All right, so PowerPoint. It's not dissimilar in the way it feels to Word or Excel. You know, when you open it up, hey, look, what do you want to do? Create a blank presentation. Oh, look, I've got ones that I recently had open. One thing that's a little bit different is they have what they call pinned, although I think I had that in. I never use the pen, I just go to recent, and whatever I've used recently should be down there. This is my computer, so there's not much there. I can also just go over to open and, you know, do browse around for what I want. Been recently opened. Or I just, like I said, if I go to new, so home, kind of a combination, new takes me directly to what theme do I want to start with. And you'll notice that I can look at presentations, themes, go back and go to diagrams, go, you know, it all depends on what I want to do. There's an oil thing. How about if I just themes? I'm just going to do a blank presentation up there. While I'm in PowerPoint, turn Power Saver on. I hate logging. Oh, this is Mike Preble. What shall we do for Mike? As with any of the others, we've got all of our tabs across the top. File. If you go to File, it takes you to that backstage area. If you want to get out of the backstage, you just use the back arrow. Home is the default. You're dropped into Home, where you've got, I think this is the 2019 version. It looks different. Don't you hate it?
No,
Just,
Yeah, I know.
just go down to the taskbar at the bottom and see what the image looks like. Doesn't it label the application?
PowerPoint.
So,
I'm just sorry. I didn't mean to sidetrack. It just looks different than what I was looking at. Like literally,
If you right click on it, pull property. Not gonna get a property sign.
this is where you go to what version of PowerPoint do I have? On the left. Select resources. I don't know. Whoop. Under options, but this is what I advanced. It used to be so simple, you know, about, oh, look, there it is. I mean, you can always go to what version are you running? I'm not going to bother with it right now, but it's just really kind of annoying. So we're in. So we're in it. You've got an insert. This is where, of course, the same as everything else, you can put pictures. text boxes, shapes, icons. You can put charts, tables. This is definitely 2019 because forms did not used to be in PowerPoint. So that'd be an interesting thing to see what forms adds. You can go to draw. Ooh, this is new. I mean, this is all new. This is not 2016, folks. Let's do it. Sorry. Oh yeah, don't you love it when you pop in to show somebody about 2016? What I'm going to do right now, though, is I'm going to go to Design, which is one of the tabs. It opens up Themes, Variants, and so I can go through the themes and pick one that I like. I have always preferred a darker background with lighter text. Why? Because when you're in a room, you know, that's been, especially if it's been darkened, it gives you you don't get a washout. You know, you're not lighting the entire room from a white slide. And what does pop out are the words that are on it, more than that. That's my personal preference. So I'll pick a dark one. Something to keep in mind, and this is theme specific. If I go and add a new slide, notice how this slide is also dark. So all of the slides throughout this particular theme are likely to be dark. But if I pick some of the other ones, I can switch. I can be that way. See here, the front slide is dark, but the other slides aren't. So you've got to decide what flavor you want and go with that. I don't like that. It's going away. So that's in design. I can also change the variants. What variants are is that, okay, I've picked my theme, I can change what colors I want. So it comes with set color palettes, you know, that you can go down through and pick that will, now notice, it didn't look like anything changed, but it did. So I can change the what font colors, the general theme for the whole thing. Are there going to be effects? You know, so when I insert different stuff, what's the default, you know, glossy milk glass riblets and, or, you know, whatever it happens to be. And I can also change the background styles. So the default one was up here in style 3, but right now it's in style 11. Whichever.
Question?
Yes.
On the extra credit for the PowerPoint presentation, you want us to do a couple things like insert tables and a few other things. If it is part of the theme, like they already include some on some of the themes, do you want us to like create our own, or do you want us to like kind of?
Well, so the theme wouldn't have a chart or a table in it. You might have a slide. There's a difference between a theme and a layout. So the theme is what the slides look like this. It's blue, it's got those little funky things in the corner, and you know, the title, you know, where's the title bar, where's the subtitle bar? Sometimes they're, you know, one's on the top, sometimes other ones are on the top. What are the colors that are going to be showing up for the text inside the title bars on each page? What do the bullets look like? Those are all theme information. The layout is the title layout. As I think what you're talking about, yikes, is if I go here, I can insert new slide and then pick one. Well, I'm gonna just have to pick one that.
I think when I chose like at the beginning,
Yep.
or the theme or whatever I was going for, I chose kind of like a random one, like I searched.
Yep.
So when it loaded up, it actually had like 10 or 12 slides already preloaded.
Oh, right.
Off to the left, so that's I guess what I was getting
I
at.
wouldn't recommend that.
Okay, that's what I figured you wanted as far as kind of
It's
insert them all.
just as much work to try to change them all as it is to just make them all.
Yeah.
But so if you wanted to insert a table, you'd go up here, insert table, you know, decide how big it was going to be, and look, it even just, you know, automatically puts it in there. You know, 4 seasons. Sorry. You know, so you got, oh, sorry, I'm still on. I don't know how I get rid of that dot now that I erase it.
That doesn't, that tab completely doesn't exist. The 60.
No, I know. I was like, well, so you know, I go in here and now I can do the spring, summer, fall, thank you, winter. You know, I don't know, the food cost. Oops. Housing, heating, you know, whatever, you know, I'm just making something up. So this, I now have a table in one of my slides. You know, give it a name, you know, housing expenses, you know, for me. Not man, me. You know, so that's an example of inserting that. Now, let's go ahead and put this,
Yearly?
yeah, I don't know.
Yearly goes.
I'm just putting stuff in here because I always need more of this. Well, you know, back to 1,000, and in the winter, because we spend so much on heat, you have to only spend stuff. Housing is the same all year round. You know, we're paying $100 a month. Yeah, I know. Well, it's what it's getting to be. Heating, spring, well, it's only $500 for the whole spring. Summer, nothing. Fall, $500, and in the winter, you know, $1,500. Anyway, so we now have a complete table. Now, we have 2 choices. I'm going to go down and start a new slide. And I did that, in this case, in the navigator over on the side, I did a right mouse click, because how many times have you heard me say it? I'm a right mouse kind of guy. And that gives me the new slide option. I could also go up here to insert new slide, or on the home button, oh look, new slide. I got like 3 different ways to easily add a new slide. And so I'm just gonna, you know, I've already made one now. I'm gonna insert a, yeah, where's the charts? What'd you do with my charts?
Yeah, the little tiny button right under the smart and the shapes or
Oh, there we go, chart, sorry. So here I have the option to put in some kind of a chart. I'm just gonna do a pie chart because they're really easy. Maybe a 3D pie chart because 3Ds are really cool. I'm gonna hit OK. Now, it opens up a table because a chart is no good if you don't have data. I could have copied out the data I just made for the other one and pasted it over here. I don't think it's going to let me. So, well, you know, I'm just going to, we'll do this. Heating. First quarter is 500. Second quarter is 0. Third quarter is 500. Fourth quarter is 100. Okay. Then just close it. Back here. I didn't do it. Where's the data? Edit data. Hey! All right. Okay, so it is there now. Show it. Weird. You know, so you can put a title up here. Expenses through the year. Now, over here, you know, we have choices. Fill, no fill. We don't want fill in the whole thing. Oh, I'm sorry, I was in the wrong element. Chart, fill, It's automatic, we're gonna leave it that way. Um, Sorry, it's gonna be similar to what you have. I'm sorry I can't show you 2016 at the moment because, but you should be able to, for instance, on the legend here, sorry, legend options. I want to take it out. Well, I can just well, I can put it to the top, to the bottom, to the left, to the right, top right, you know, wherever. And I wish that it would let me put it right on top. It should, but it's not. Dang it. But what I mean is, you should be able to actually label each one of them, right? You know, fourth quarter, first quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. I mean, the third quarter we need to do. What? Am I missing?
Third option over at the top under chart styles. Up at the top.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Over, other way. Yeah.
Under the chart styles.
Under
the actual
chart
chart
styles.
styles.
Oh, gotcha.
Third option over.
Yeah, so there's
It's kind of like.
Yeah. Thank you.
A lot easier than what?
The teams do better than, you know, single idiots. I mean, excuse me. And I could still go back here now and look at the fill colors and do, what? There we go. But now I'm gonna have to go to text options and do something other than, there you go. So, you know, you can play around with it, but that's how you, yes.
One of the things I noticed when I was looking at the data editor, I think you can link up Excel charts, can't you?
Yeah, you can. You can insert tables, Excel spreadsheet. So you can bring the data in directly from wherever you built it. And sometimes that's really nice. Now, if we were in Excel, had our chart already done, the easiest thing to do is just copy the chart and paste it either as an unlinked or as a linked chart or a unlinked or linked table. So if you link them and you change your Excel spreadsheet, then that will change what's presented in your PowerPoint next time you open it. If you don't link them, then you're just going to get the chart, you know, and without the, you know, the ability to update it. All right, so, but the homework called for putting in a table, putting in a chart, so that should give you an idea of how to do that. What else did it ask for? Pictures, right? So, insert pictures. I don't think there's anything in here. No. I'm going to do an online picture. Same as in Word. This is just embarrassing. Jeez. Upside down airplanes. I like that. What do you want to see? Picture of
Cat.
opposite kittens.
Oh, okay.
Well, because Amanda's got new kittens.
Well,
I think we're going to go with that cute little picture right there. Now, this, whoa, oops.
Just let me. Sensitive.
Oh, yeah, that's new. Whoa, design, you know, okay, so we'll go with this. Yeah, I like that, that's kind of cool. You don't have that in 2016. Yours will look more like this. Now, what it's also done is it's added this little text box about, where the picture came from. Can't even quite see what it says.
Yes.
There we go. Unknown author, licensed by CST. I'm just going to delete it. If you wanted to leave the attributions and the attributions actually said something, you could leave it there. This is an attribute to who knows who. So I'm not going to leave it. I just delete it. Now, you'll notice it actually put it in with rounded edges, but you can change how you want it. I don't have any specifics for what I put in there in terms of how the pictures look, but you should make sure that they, let me go find a really big picture. Images, Google, cat, kittens. And I'm gonna go to tools, size, large, and tools, show sizes. I'm gonna go find a really, oh, there's a big picture right there. Open image in new tab. There it is. Connect queue, copy image, and go to PowerPoint, new slide, and I'm gonna paste it here. Now, this is new for 2019. It doesn't happen in 2016. If you did that on 2016, the picture is this big. It's bigger than the slide. And so it goes way off the edges. What it's done is it automatically, with 2019, I don't think 2016 does. 2019 is it reformatted it to fit the image. If you find that you've pasted one that does not fit, what you do, up here under Picture Tools Format, click it, and you'll see the sizes right here. So if this thing said, this is what it would look like,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So you end up with something like this. And I can't even find my slide because half the time it looks like this. It's like, where'd my slide go? So you go up here and you change this to fit. It's like, well, I'm going to make this 6 inches, something that's going to fit. And all of a sudden now you drag it in here and you move it around however you want it to. Does that make sense? So go to design, to format, go over to the size on the side, select a size that you can see. That way you make sure that you've gotten a big enough picture, you're not getting a thumbnail or something. So you're going to get good detail and it's going to fit. So that's, I don't know how you turn back on that. Where were the design suggestions?
Yeah, it's all around the right. No, you have to go back to where you were before. It was under design. And then it's all the way on.
Design ideas, gotcha. Cool.
It pops in when it wants to and where it wants to.
There you go. Because that's a lot nicer than having to move stuff around. I like that feature. I'm sure there are other things I'll decide I don't.
So he does all the work for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does, because otherwise you're almost always forced to, if you wanted to make this taller, now you've got to move it over to the side. Oh, sorry. Try to move that over to the side. And then what are you going to do with the title? You're going to do this with the title. Move that down. By the time you're done, you're tired of doing it. So it's a lot nicer now, like you said, good at design ideas and just do this. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Do I want this or that? Does it automatically. All right. So right.
No, it's just computer.
All about carries. by Amanda. Well, because it's all about, this is really housing expenses for me and the kittens. And heating expenses through the year to keep the kittens warm. You know, it's all about kittens. And then we got pictures of the cute kittens. Cute kitten. And more cute kittens. All right, so, you know, we're getting there. We obviously don't have our 10 slides. Remember, it's 10 to 16 slides. Any pictures you put in, and I didn't do this, so sorry, I have to go back and find where I got this. So I can grab this website, scholastic.com, copy it, that's just the URL, and now go back to my PowerPoint. I don't want it on this page, so what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go to the notes page. And what a notes page does, this is just for me. Where did I get it? And I'm going to go down here and click Add Text, Control V. There I have it. It's not going to show up in my presentation when I'm giving it, but if I ever need to know where it came from or give attribution to where I stole, where I borrowed, where I got the picture from, then there's that. So, I don't know if I said this, forgive me because I do this class for different groups. When you're in education, when you're actually teaching for almost any purpose, more or less, I can steal stuff and use it for educational purposes without fear of copyright violation. I can go to the library, take a book out, take a sample of Old English that I'm trying to teach about, photocopy it, pass it out as an example of Old English that we're studying. That's not a copyright violation. I cannot copy the book, Romeo and Juliet, and have you read that without buying it, because that's not, well, that's not the same thing. I'm not trying to give it as an example. I'm substituting a normally purchased item for something that I ran a photocopy on. This picture, I'm just using it for educational display purposes. I'm not required to do anything. If I made a commercial brochure with this cat on it, I would potentially be in violation of copyright laws because it's for a commercial use and not an educational use. That makes sense? Yeah, unless you, well, and so here's the other thing. I can always go back to images here. And I can go to usage rights. Not filtered is not the one I want. Because that just is everybody. I can go to labeled for reuse, means anybody can use it. And you'd have to look up the rules. It still means you're probably going to have to attribute it, but you don't have to pay anybody. And so here's big pictures of cute cats that I can use. Yeah, go take the one right off of Wikipedia. So, oh, I see. They boxed them up. They're shipping them here. This is probably one of those cat mills. You know. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Ooh, look at that. That's a mean-looking kitten. Sorry, I'm getting solely sidetracked here. Anyway, so any of the attributes, this is where you go to View, up on the tabs, and it's a good time as any. So normal view is this. That's what you normally spend your time on. You get the navigation pane on the side, which allows you to quickly go back and forth to the different slides. And if you go to outline view, so if I'm here, I said, wow, I want to just start more slides. I want a slide that is different types of cat food, play toys, for cats. And look what it's doing. It's creating new slides in my slideshow. That's what Outline is for. Now, let's do, I want to add into the different types of cat food, wet foods.
What are you clicking to make the new slide?
So I'm in Outline. So I'm over in that little side piece. I'm just hitting enter.
Okay.
And it will start a new line. If I want to add things to the existing slide, then I tab. And it's just like doing indents, you know, on bullets and everything else. So it's treating it the same. So wet foods, you know, dry foods, live mice, you know, whatever. I'm being mean. It doesn't do any real formatting, but so this is what the Outline view is for. Slide sorter just shows me the slides. And I can actually, you know what, I want this one to be over here. So it's really easy to just slide things around. I can change should be able to change the slide, but I don't know how to do it on this one. And then the notes page we looked at, this is just for you. You could print it out, show it like this, and then reading page, I've never in all my life used reading page. But why? Because gee, what does this look like? Looks like a slideshow, you know, so I'm not sure what the benefit of, you know, using it this way would be. If you're blind. Okay, if you're blind, it's not.
No, I mean, like, we need, like.
Oh, you need, well, no, but I mean, so, anybody know, what's the shortcut to start a slideshow? F5. Oh, see your laptop. There we go. Oh, I was gonna say, I hate it when it opens in display mode because you're seeing it totally different than what I'm looking at. So All About Kittens by Amanda. No, you can't actually use this one.
Oh, I was gonna ask.
And I know you can't see it recorded, but I'm seeing the presenter's view, which actually has the notes page next to it, you know, with anything else going on. And it gives me the buttons to advance and do all that stuff. I'm still not used to that, but 2016 has it as well. So if you're giving a presentation and you're attached to external monitors, what everybody else sees is different than what you'll see. So you got to get used to that. I think you can turn it off, but I'm going to see it. You know, and you can cycle through them using the arrow keys. You can do the page up, page down, arrow up, arrow down, arrow right, arrow left, and mouse up, mouse down, back click, not back click, mouse click. You do a right mouse click, you can't see it, but I've got a pop-up window that says next, previous, last view, see all slides, zoom in, hide presenter view, so I can hide presenter here. I'll hide it and you'll see it. Now you see it. So that's, you know, you get this. Show presenter view, go back. Do you want blank screen, white screen? Pointer options is where I can get the laser pointer. You know, give a slightly bigger line of kittens. Good thing they have their eyes closed. And do a highlighter. And if I go to pointer options, I thought I could turn the highlighter off.
You can just erase it.
I know. Apparently I can't do a Control-C eraser. There we go. I didn't even have to do it, I just have to that. Cool. All right. So the escape. All right. So we've talked about, what we haven't talked about is a clipboard. So if you need to move things around, one of the assignments has you using the clipboard. So unlike control copy and control paste, which will only hold, or control cut and control paste, which only holds one item, the clipboard lets you hold as many items as you have been working on. So the last thing in here was the URL for the kittens, because I copied that off the website, put it in here. So that allowed, now I can go here and I could go to notes page, view, notes page, and I could just do that. It's not where that picture came from, but that's the way it is. And when I'm all done, I can always clear all. Maybe I'm gonna take this, and I can copy that, puts it over here, and I go here, copy this one. Preview not available. Huh, I don't know why.
Convincing it.
And so I can grab as much stuff as I want. And now I can go down here to this empty slide, and I can start pasting stuff. Did I paste it twice? There we go. May as well put some cats in there, but they ought to be on the other side. Sad looking cats, because they just found out how much they cost to pretty weird. Yeah. All right.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens if we go up to 9 ideas. No, I don't think so. I have no idea why it's not letting me. Let's see. Format.
Paste it inside of the chart.
Oh, is it? Yeah, Control X. There we go. You're right. Good one, Donald.
What was the answer?
So I pasted it into the chart. So the chart had been highlighted when I hit Control V, or when I went over here and hit the Control V button. Paste. So you've got that up on the home of the clipboard. You've got slides. Now, you've got new slides, and if you click the down arrow, you'll get all the different possible, formats or layouts. They're called layouts. You can also duplicate selected slides, and you can reuse slides. So if you like to reuse a slide over and over again, or you have a style that you want to reuse, I can go to reuse slides, go find, recent PowerPoint files, pull a slide out of that. So I'm going to insert a slide from here. There. So now I don't get caught up. Let's go forward, close that. So now in the middle of this thing, I've just reused a slide from a different slideshow. Kind of cool. You can also do that for what they call sections. So we're up to 9 pictures here now. What if my presentation had been on pets, and I had a 10-slide section on cats? I can make that into a section. And then a 10-slide show of cats. I say cats or dogs, whatever, but parakeets, whatever you want to do. I wouldn't recommend, what's the big bird that just killed somebody last week?
Well, that for weird Australian bird.
Yeah.
Callaway.
It's bigger than one. I guess. Cassowary.
Yeah, something like that. Cassowary.
Huh?
Cassowary.
Yeah, there we go. And apparently they're the most aggressive bird in the world. And they like to, and they happen to be, almost the size of an ostrich. So what could go wrong? And why somebody has one as a pet, I don't know.
You can't have a license to have it in Florida.
Yeah. Well, and the guy was like 72 years old. So I guess his chances of fighting it off were pretty slim. Luckily, it's a vegetarian. They told him it was a vegetarian bird, so he didn't think he had anything to worry about. Just kidding. All right. So we've talked about insert. It's going to look differently on yours. Design, we talked about themes and variants. Transition, so quick thing on transitions. This, so you've got transitions and animation. These are, oh, and just as a little, last week I had to back up my work drive, well, not back it up. I ran a full scan, which I do periodically. 550,000 work files that I've collected since 2004. Isn't that scary? Scared the bejeebies out of me.
Tell me how many invites I told up to.
Google keeps charging me more. So just like layout and theme are different, so are transition. Right, very well. So is transition is one thing, and automation, right? Yeah, animation. I knew it didn't sound right. Animation. So the difference is this is slide to slide, and this is intra-slide. Who knows the difference between inter and intra?
Within. Inter would be between different files, while
Yep.
intra would be within the file.
Correct. So we run an intranet in this building, which is connected to the internet, which is running between establishments and networks. So an intra-slide animation is different components on one slide animated to produce whatever effect it is that you're looking at. So, and there are two different, tabs that you talk. One is for transition, one is for animation. And the two don't, they're separate. I mean, you have to do these, some people will have only animations, some people will only have transitions, and some people will have both. I believe the homework says you have to use transitions. Did I say anything about animations? I can't remember. Well, if you get there and it says you have to, you have to. So let's show you real quick. If we want to do animations, so we've got slides here. Transitions. You get a bunch of options up here in the transition to this slide. And you get to pick subtle, exciting, dynamic. That's a Ferris wheel. Have a conveyor belt. I don't like that one. Pan. Zoom. Cone. Ooh, I like that one. Box. Home. Doors. Cube. So there's a bunch to pick from. The only thing I'm going to tell you is that it gets a little annoying if you have every single slide different after a while. It doesn't mean you can't. I'm not going to hold it against you if you do. But if you're out giving a professional presentation of 20 slides and every single slide is different, it just comes across as, Donald wanted to figure out how to use each and every one of them. Yeah, I know. So, question?
Slides of that extra credit have to be?
It's 10 to 16.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
If you must have an animation on every slide, at least use fade.
Yeah, fade's pretty standard. But that's up to you. Let me go to dissolve is pretty fun too. I like that. Now, once you've selected one, Lord, please don't use a sound. You have a bunch of sounds that you can select, and that if you were to run it, it would, at each transition, make whatever that sound is. And how long would the sound last for? And would it be applied to all slides? So let's try it. Now I'm going to go up and hit the F5 button.
Oh, no.
Oh, but it's looking pretty bad because of it's doing it all over the internet. Now, how long before you're going, shut up? You know, so I'm going to get out of here, and go back to transitions, and we're going to have no sound. Much. Apply to all. Now, if you want to do each slide different, then you're going to not want to do that apply to all, but it means you're going to have to go through and change whatever whatever transitions you want for those slides. It's usually easiest to just do it on all. Now, what's really important, go away. No, and don't show me again. Thank you very much. Done. So up here in the corner, you've got an advanced slide, and it says on mouse click. Or what's it say right underneath it?
After months.
After a little window that you can set the time for. So, and there are features here that we're not going to go into because we've only got a couple of weeks left. You can set, say, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 11.3 seconds, whatever you want for each slide to go through. But this is where timing is also important. If you just show a picture of a kitten, how long do you really need to assimilate the information on that page? A couple of seconds. On the other hand, if you have a paragraph of information about cat food, it might take you more than 5 seconds to read that. So you can change this timing that you have for each one. And by doing that, you should be all set. I wonder if they need it. Security's at the door. Which one of you is in trouble? You need anything, or?
No, I don't want to interrupt. No, I just want to check something out if you don't mind.
That's fine.
I'll just stay right here.
Which one of these do you want?
No, actually, that's what I'm looking at, that security camera.
Yep.
Somebody hit it.
Apparently. Do you want to move it back? Don't feel free.
No, as long as I know what's going on.
Okay. I have not a clue, but yes. Well, now we know somebody looks at it.
Yes.
Keep that in mind. All right.
Sorry.
Sure. So we let's apply some timings here. Now you can leave both on the mouse click and timings, which means that either when the timing is done, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, it's going to transition, or you can just go ahead and click it through. But you can't, it's not going to, oh, well, I didn't click it, but it changed. When the time runs out, it's going to change. So right now, because it's on mouse click, and if I run this slideshow, then it's going to require me to click, each slide through. If I go here to after and change it to, I don't know, 6 seconds, and we got no sound, I'm going to go to slideshow from beginning. And if I just do nothing, in 6 seconds, it will transition to the next one. Right?
Set on mouse click.
Oh, did I not mouse? Yeah. All right, so right now it's good. All right. Don't go by what the idiot says. Transition. Yes, you're right. Thank you. You got to click the after button, just like I
still
told you.
do. Wait. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So after on mouse click.
Yes.
You still need to set the time.
Oh.
We set it. So
Save. Save. Okay. And now if I go to slideshow from beginning, so now it should run, and I'll wait for 6 seconds, and it will automatically transition to the next one.
think you still do the mouse click thing, or so you want to check?
No, it should do either one. No, I mean, I guarantee you it should. So why are we not? Why are we not?
All the time.
Ah, there you go.
Except that.
And then, yeah, all right. Try this one more time. Save.
Apply to all. Apply to all, there we go, now we're good.
Yeah, I'm not usually this. Okay.
Bam. No.
There you go. And you can still click through quicker, and just do that. But then if you stop clicking, it'll process on its own.
Okay, now I see these stuff.
If you were setting this up as a display kiosk, like let's say, I know Hal had these set up with just a welcome to, computer science department when there were some folks walking through on an open house. Well, you could have a whole slideshow running, scrolling through pictures of people doing computer science, sitting around drinking Red Bull, Hot Pockets, whatever. Maybe even doing some coding, maybe. So you've got this all set up. Now, if you want to do a kiosk presentation that loops, you have to go one step farther. And so there's slideshows here, and I don't want the presenter move. I don't bother to make it when it pops up. Try to remember. Now, of course, it's on a new one.
Oh yeah, there's the presenter view.
Yeah. So present. I went into set up the slideshow. Right here, I can loop continuously until I hit escape. So if I do that, it's just going to go and go and go and go. You can tell it to go without any animations if you want that part to be turned off. You can decide what slides you want to show. So maybe you've got a 50-slide slideshow, but you only want to show the first 15 and the last 5. You can do that by going in here to custom show, typing in the numbers of the slides you want, and then, it's not going to let me do it this time. Fine. That way. I don't know why the custom show is not showing up.
You have to do it from a specific, like you have to select from, and then it'll give you the option. Custom show, yeah, okay. Okay. Custom show.
I'd have to look that one up. And so I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to go back just really quickly to transitions. Turn this down to 3 seconds. So make it long, apply to all, save it, and show at the beginning. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I know, making you sit through it. And if I was doing this on this setup, I would not use that diffuse, whatever they call that, transition. It does not do well with the internet because it's, how it's like, yeah, go ahead. It's very jerky, and that would not be what you want. We change that to just a clean white or a fade. It'll just, it's less. There's too much stuff going on. Somebody stole something. Yeah, Al was probably in here taking stuff.
Hacking the internet.
Oh, it's busted. That doesn't look happy.
There we go.
That'll be a later date. Step ladder.
Yeah.
Just been over being watched.
Yeah. That's it. Couldn't see you guys 20 minutes ago. It's like, hey, wait, something happened.
None of us did it, to the best of my knowledge. So you see it's scrolled around back to the beginning. And you could do that, for days on end. I'm going to just try an easier, with a subtle fade, like all. The reason why I'm doing this is I just want to see if it shows up on these better. Now, up here on the quick start menu, it's not going to have all of these up here. I know I went on here earlier and added the start from beginning because I like that on the quick start. If you've never done it before, you can go to this little drop down arrow and pick what you want to be on the quick start menu. If it's not there, you go to more commands and you get all of the commands that you're allowed to add to the quick start menu. They're over here. Autosave, I'm going to take the autosave off since it requires doing that. So there's the undo, the redo, the save, start from beginning, and touch mouse mode. I don't know what that is, but I'll leave it alone. I can't think of anything else I really want. But kill, yeah, so you could do whatever you want, quick print, add it, and then you can also move it, up and down, lay it out. You can reset it back to whatever the default is. And when you're done, now I have saved, undo, redo, start from the beginning, whatever that mouse one is, and a quick print. Cool. So that's there for you. I'm going to start this and see if this transition can be clean. I mean, it doesn't feel as bad. I think if I was me and I was trying to do it on this, I'd do that. I like some kind of transition because without it, you can get a poop, poop, poop feel to it. Did you have a question? Oh, yeah. Again, they're all being sent out over the internet. All right. Couple of things. You can also publish this to the web. It's more of an advanced topic, but file. I am not ever going to sign in. Thank you. I thought it had. I mean, I could have sworn I saw it. So. Well, maybe not. What's up with that? Where was it? Right up top. Oh. Let me show how you do it on Google Slides. Yeah, before I sign into Microsoft, I'll be over on Slides. Thank you very much. Yeah. So So, good time to talk about differences between PowerPoint and slides. PowerPoint's been around for 20 years longer than Google Slides. Google Slides has all the benefits of being an online program. So anywhere you log into a browser, you can show your presentations right there. You log in, go to your drive, pull up your slides, and if you didn't know this, I will spend at least, I hope, one class talking about Google Drive management. But if I went to Google right now and just you get a little 9 square grid up in the corner, and if I click that, it opens up. What would you like to do? And one will say slides. If I click on slides, it will pop up with, do you want a new one? Or here's all the ones you've done recently. So I don't even have to go look through my drive, because if I had it open the other day, it's in that list of recent ones. I click on it and boom, it opens up. So it's very easy and very usable that way. It has animations where it falls down. The biggest is transitions. You can put transitions in. There is only one way in Google Slides to add timings for transition, and that is if you publish it to the web. And when you publish it to the web, you're allowed, you'll get a URL that will allow you to run it, but in the process of publishing it to the web, it will ask you how long between slides. And your options are mouse click or 5 seconds, whatever number of seconds you want, but you can't change it between slides. So every slide has to be the same amount. So you're going to get a very constant rate of slide changes, which is, it's a feature that PowerPoint has, which can be powerful, and it's not available in slides. I still like slides. And the number of themes available in PowerPoint exceeds the number of themes available in Google Slides. It's just, which one do you like? I've used them both. I like them both. You will almost always have the issue that the Microsoft products are more mature. They've been around 20 years longer than the Google products have. And while that may mean, oh, then they're old, well, what it means is people have made a bazillion templates, and the programmers at Microsoft have been making new stuff to go with those programs for 30, 35 years instead of 5 to 10 years. And that shows when you're looking at the absolute depth of things. I printed out shortcuts for PowerPoint. It's an 18-page document. So anything you want to do with PowerPoint, let's see, what can you do? If you want to collapse text below a heading, then it's Alt-Shift and the minus sign. Yeah. Show level 1 headings, Alt-Shift 1. Redo the last is pretty easy. Open the paste special dialog box, Control-Alt-V, and so move the selected slide or section to the end, Control-Shift down arrow key. So there's you don't get that in Google. There are some that are good for Google. The cool thing is F5 will start your slideshow in either one. So and Control-C and Control-V. Those are not either Google or Microsoft. Those belong to the entire computer world. But almost everything that you can do with the menus, you can do with a shortcut. Why you'd remember all that, I don't know. So let's talk real quick about animations, and we're going to call it a day. Let's pick one of these slides. This one actually has things in it, and I'm going to take everything in this box. Notice I clicked on that text box. If I click on a word and increase the font size, it only changes it for that word. If I click on an entire line, it only does it for that word. But if so, if I go back to just plain old, if I click the entire text box or bullet box, now I can change it for the entire thing. I can also change colors, bold it, larger, do whatever. So there's a difference between highlighting a word, highlighting an entire line, and highlighting an entire box. And that will depend on what you're changing, applies to. Anyway, so what we have here on this slide are 2 objects. We have a title object, and we have a bulleted list. Now, the bulleted list has 3 objects in it. We have wet foods, dry foods, and live mice. I don't know what else we could put. Dead mice. Someplace in between, the beginning of being eaten and the end of being eaten. Sorry.
That little robin that's been sitting on the lawn.
Yeah, well, that's good. When I bought my house, this is one of those horrible stories that didn't bother me, but my daughter came for it. We had a small dog, 20 pounds, 15, 20 pounds. And when I first bought our house, our barn was infested with pigeons.
Ew.
And I mean, lots of pigeons. By the time all the pigeons were gone, we had convinced them through a culling program that any other place would be better to live. And I would take the pigeons and toss them out in the back of the barn. Every once in a while, Javier, our dog, would get loose, and right to the back of the barn where little piles of dead birds were and chew away. It's a terrier, you know. Doesn't matter, dead, alive, whatever. And he was my daughter's dog, you know, for the most part. Not really, but that's who he slept with. She woke up one time, right out of The Godfather, with a dead pigeon head on the pillow next to her. The screams were magnificent. He was just loving her, you know? He brought her the best juiciest part. All right, animations. So we're going to go to the animation slide. As with, we got a slide something. As with the transitions, we got to go in here. It's got to drop down all sorts of things that we can do. How do we want that element to come into the page? And you know, we can have it appear. We could highlight it again. I want to pick something different. Grow and turn. There you go. Kind of cool. Now, notice over here, when do you want it to happen? On click, with the previous thing or after the previous thing. With means that, like if we did that for both the bulleted list and the title, they both come in at the same time. If we did it after, then, you know, each thing would come in subsequently. I'm going to just have it be automatic after the previous, which in this case is after the slide loads. So the slide loading is the transition, and then the first animation will come in after that, then the second animation will come in after that, and so forth. So I'm going to have it take about 1 second to come in. So the actual animation will take a second. But I want it to wait 2 seconds after the slide loads before it does that. Does that make sense? You'll see. And then this, we've got to animate this too, otherwise it's going to be there when we first start. So I'll do this with a different animation, and we'll, I don't know, random bars. And this one, we're going to go in here, and it's going to be after previous. Let it take a second to come in. Well, actually, I liked it. It was pretty good. And we're going to wait another 4 seconds after the title comes in before it goes. Let me close this for your slides. Now, where'd you put it? Where'd you put it? I want the animation pane page. There it is, animation pane. So you can turn on what they call the animation pane, which is lets you change whatever it is you're working on. So the title, then the content, and you can go over here and reorder things. I've only got 2 things, so I'm not going to reorder them. Let's see what this looks like. Now I'm going to go to slideshow from current slide. 1000 to 1000. Then another 3 seconds or whatever I said. And now those are going to start to come in. All right, that's probably too long a delay in between each individual one. And one more dead mice. Ta-da! And then it moves on to the next slide because we have the slides on auto rotation. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that if I go back to that slide, if I go to transitions, this is still going after 2 seconds. So as soon as the animation was done, it waited 2 seconds and then went on to the next thing. So you kind of have to play with it. I would spend a little time just trying different things, moving back and forth. This is being treated all as one paragraph, but if we go to animations, yeah, there is a, well, okay, so here we go. So we're going to go in here to each of these and say with previous. And now they should all come in at the same time instead of one and then the next, then the next, then the next. So let's see if that works. So a couple of seconds, in comes the title, a couple of seconds, and they all come in together. And then immediately goes on. So that's how you, a little bit about doing animations. It's going to look just a little bit different because the 2016 looks a little different than the 2019. Any questions? So you have a homework assignment, PowerPoint chapters 2 and chapter 1. I think it's chapter 1, numbers 2 and 4. Good luck with that. One of the best presents my father-in-law gave us was like a crock to put, spoons and stuff in for the kitchen. And it says, Tom and Gail and our anniversary date, right? Wedding date right on it. So you always know the, anniversary date. It's there in the kitchen. So courses, your applications, coursework. PowerPoint, chapter 1, projects 2 and 4. Somebody's already done it. All right, who's the brown noser? Just kidding. I'm kidding. All right, any questions? If not, have a wonderful time. Thursday, I'll be online or watch the show, on the HGTV channel. Garage. Don't for coming back to you. And thank you for making the Ethernet cable, Dawn and Noah. Noah and oh yes. Again,
It works,
yeah,
yes.
it works.
Now we
Well,
go.
but it doesn't. Once not back.
There's some
Yeah, yes.
I
Oh, I knew that.
We were not entirely sure.
Hey, Tom,
Yes.
I'm supposed to meet with Ryan Brindle from the tech hire at 3:30. He said he's gonna be in the school.
Yeah.
Does that mean he's gonna be like here?
This building.
They usually meet here, but
Okay.
I do not know that.
All right, I'm gonna go to the other room. Okay, you're just going home.
All right. Sign out.
I guess, no.
Can you give me a stop?
And then.
Have a good day, Tom.
Actually, yeah, okay.
Good to see you.
Oh.
Oh, I already did. Oh, no. Where we go?
it.